Hello children, I am Mrs. Asavari Swapnil Singhasane from Deccan Education Society's New English Medium Secondary School. Today I am here to discuss lesson number 6, Animal Classification from Science and Technology Part 2. Let us discuss this chapter with the help of PowerPoint presentation. Children, just look at these pictures. Which shop will you prefer to visit? Obviously, the second one. Why? Because in the first shop, there are so many things scattered over here and there, and hence we will not be able to find out the required things easily. But in the second shop, it will be quite easy to find out the things. Same thing is applicable to animals. We are surrounded by large variety of animals. Some are too small, whereas some are too big. Some are terrestrial, some are aquatic. Some crawl, some swim, some fly, while some can walk. Some animals have scales, some have feathers, while some have hairs and fur. So it becomes a complicated job to identify and study them. However, if groups of animals are formed on the basis of similarities and differences, very easy to study such a huge variety. Such grouping is nothing but classification. Taxonomy is the branch of biology which deals with the study of classification. Now, let us discuss advantages of animal classification. Study of classification facilitates identification of an animal with great accuracy. Study of few representative animals from a group helps us to understand about that entire group. Study of classification also helps us to understand adaptations and also the evolution. It also helps us to understand the habitat of each animal. Habitat means the natural dwelling place of an animal. Study of classification helps us to understand the exact role of any animal in the ecosystem. It tells us about the interrelationship among the various organisms. That means we can say that because of classification, the study becomes convenient. Now, let us have some historical background of animal classification. From time to time, many scientists have tried to classify the animals. The earliest classification which was put forth was by Aristotle. He classified living organisms into two kingdoms, that is, Plantae and Animalia. For this, he used very simple criteria like body size, habits, and habitats. This method of classification is known as artificial method of classification. Many scientists like Theophrastus, Pliny, John Ray, Linnaeus used the same method but with slightly advanced references and modified criteria. Here, Carl Linnaeus gets the actual credit of classifying the living organisms into two kingdoms. He is also known as father of modern taxonomy. Later on, natural system of classification got introduced, which was based on the criteria like body organization, cell types, chromosomes, and biochemical properties. Some scientists like Dobzhansky and Mayer tried to classify organisms on the basis of evolution. Carl Woese has also proposed the three-domain system of classification. But nowadays, we are using a five-kingdom system of classification given by Robert Whittaker. The five kingdoms are Monera, Protista, Plantae, Fungi, and Animalia. Now, kingdom Animalia is further divided into two subkingdoms, that is, subkingdom non-chordates and subkingdom chordates. Non-chordate animals show following characteristics. The first is absence of notochord. Here, notochord is a stiff rod-like structure made up of compactly arranged vacuolated cells. Pharyngeal gill slits are absent in these members. Basically, these are the slits or openings bearing the gills, and they are used for the process of gaseous exchange. Nerve cord or bundle of nerve fibers, if present, it is ventral in position and usually paired and solid. Here, the term ventral has been derived from the Latin word venter, which means stomach. That means the surface refers to lower side, and in case of humans, it is front side. Heart, if present, it is dorsal in position. Here, the term dorsal has been derived from the Latin word dorsum, which means the back side or upper side in case of quadruped animals. And post-anal tail is absent in these members. So, these are the general characteristics of subkingdom non-chordata. As per the traditional system of classification, this subkingdom is classified into 10 phyla, namely Protozoa, Porifera, Cnidaria or Coelenterata, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata and Hemichordata. Now, let us see what are chordates. Here, body is supported by notochord. It not only supports the body but also keeps the nerve tissue isolated from the remaining body. Pharyngeal gill slits are present in these members. In chordata members, nerve cord is present on dorsal side. In these members, heart is present on ventral side and post-anal tail is also present. All chordata are grouped under a single phylum, Chordata, which has been further divided into three subphyla, that is Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. All chordates are grouped under a single phylum, Chordata, which has been further divided into three subphyla, namely Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrata. The subphylum Vertebrata is further divided into 6 classes, namely Cyclostomata, Pisces, Amphibia, Reptilia, Aves and Mammalia. However, nowadays we are using a simple system of classification. As per this system, kingdom Animalia includes all multicellular heterotrophs and their cells are without cell wall. This system is based on some criteria of classification like level of organization, body symmetry, germ layers, coelom and segmentation. Let us see this criteria in detail. The first criteria of animal classification is grades of organization, or you can say levels of organization, which describes how is the body organized. We know that all animals are multicellular, so many cells are available to carry out different functions. But in case of unicellular organisms, only single cell is available, to perform different functions of the body. Hence, their level of organization is referred as protoplasmic level of organization. In animals, where there is absence of coordination between neighboring cells, that is, each cell is going to work on its own, but the body is formed by just aggregation or collection of cells. Such body organization is cellular grade organization. Peripheral members show this type of organization. The next is tissue level of organization, where now coordination among cells has been established and there is formation of a tissue. Now, what is a tissue? Yes, tissue is nothing but a group of cells performing similar functions. But keep in mind, here tissue-tissue coordination is not established yet. Hence, organ formation is not there. The next level is organ level of organization. Now here, there is proper coordination and organization between tissues so as to form an organ. However, complete organ systems are not formed. Now, many organs work in coordination to perform certain functions and lead to formation of an organ system. At this level, there is clear division of labor among all the body systems. But remember one thing, the complexity of organ systems differs in various animal groups. This type of organization is organ system grade organization. The next criteria is symmetry. Symmetry means how is the body arranged or how are the body parts arranged so that we can cut it into two equal halves. So there are two possibilities now. Either we can cut it into two equal halves or not. If an organism cannot be cut into two equal halves, then we will call it as an asymmetrical organism. Asymmetry can be seen in animals like snail and sponges. If we can cut an organism into two equal parts, then we will call it as symmetrical. Now, let us see types of symmetry. The first one is radial symmetry. Here, the cut passes along the radius of body. It can be seen in animals like hydra and starfish. In case of bilaterally symmetrical animals, the cut passes through the central axis of the body and we get two lateral equal halves. It is seen in higher animals like insects and human beings. The next criteria is germinal layers. These are the layers of cells formed during the initial phase of embryonic development called as gastrulation. These are the concentric layers. In all, there are three types of germ layers: ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm. Ecto means outer and derma means layer. So, ectoderm is the outermost layer. Endo is inner, that means endoderm is the innermost layer. Meso stands for middle. So, mesoderm is the middle layer and it lies between ectoderm and endoderm. Now, if three germ layers are present, animal is known as triploblastic. Triplo means three. From Platyhelminthes onwards, all the members are triploblastic. In some animals, that is, animals belonging to phylum Cnidaria, only two germ layers are present, that is, ectoderm and endoderm. They are known as diploblastic. Diplon means two. In these members, the middle layer, mesoderm, is absent. Here, instead of mesoderm, the ectoderm and endoderm are separated by a layer of non-living jelly-like substance called as mesoglia. The next criteria of animal classification is coelom. Basically, coelom is a space formed by splitting of mesoderm. It is a space which contains all the inner organs, and the innermost lining is endoderm, which is of the lining of our gut or intestine. If such cavity is present, then the animal is known as coelomate. Members from phylum Annelida onwards are coelomates. If this cavity is absent, then those animals are known as acoelomates. As we know, coelom is formed by splitting of mesoderm. In case of diploblastic members, mesoderm is absent. Hence, all diploblast members are acoelomates. Also, Platyhelminthes members are acoelomate. In Porifera members, germ layers are not formed. Hence, the criteria of coelom is not applicable to them. Now comes the pseudocoelom. Pseudo is false. That means false coelom. Here, cavity is present, but it is not formed due to splitting of mesoderm. Instead, it is formed because of formation of blastocele and mesodermal patches sustained in this cavity. Blastocele is the first cavity formed during the embryonic development. Animals belonging to phylum Aschelminthes are pseudocoelomates. The fifth criteria of animal classification is segmentation. That means presence of segments or parts, or you can say sections. Here, an animal body is divided into sections. Segment is nothing but the small, similar structural unit of an animal body, and presence of such fundamentally similar segments is metamerism. In animals like earthworm and cockroach, such segments can be seen. Now we will see some important characteristics of different animal phyla. The first one is Porifera, phylum Porifera. It includes the simplest animals called as sponges. They are exclusively aquatic, sessile. That means they do not show any type of locomotion. They are always attached to substratum. Hence, they are also known as sedentary. These animals bear many pores on their body, which are called as ostia, and there is single opening present at the top called as osculum. Body cavity or central cavity is known as spongocele. Presence of water canal system is one of the important features of this phylum. In this system, water enters into the body through ostia and is removed through osculum. Meanwhile, nutrients get absorbed. As the members are soft, their body is supported by spicules and spongine fibers. Spicules are either calcareous, that means made up of calcium carbonate, or siliceous, that means they are made up of silica. These animals have special type of flagellated cells called as collar cells or choanocytes. Porifera members reproduce asexually by budding, sexually by gamete formation, and they also have good ability of regeneration. Cycon, Euspongilla, Hylonemma, and Euplectella are the common examples of this group. The next phylum is phylum Cnidaria or phylum Coelenterata, where coelos means hollow and enteron means gut. Here we get two distinct morphological forms. The first is cylindrical polyp and second is umbrella-like medusa. Again, these members are exclusively aquatic. Mostly they are marine and few are freshwater dwellers. Presence of coelenteron or gastrovascular cavity is the distinguishing feature of this phylum. Cnidoblast bearing tentacles are present around the mouth. Tentacles are useful for capturing the prey, whereas cnidoblast cells inject the toxin in the body of prey. They are also useful for protection. These members reproduce by both sexual and asexual means of reproduction. Common examples are Hydra. You know that Hydra asexually reproduces by budding, which you have already studied in earlier chapter. Aurelia and corals are the other examples of this group. The next phylum is phylum Platyhelminthes, which includes flatworms. Majority members of this group are parasites, mostly endoparasites. That means they live inside the body of host. Some are free-living also. Many parasitic members show presence of organs of adhesion. They are hooks, suckers, and spines. Outer covering cuticle is present. Digestive system in these members is incomplete. That means only mouth is present and anus is absent. These members are hermaphrodite. That means male and female reproductive systems are present in the same body. But remember, their maturity time is different. Common examples are liver fluke, tapeworm, and planaria. The fourth phylum is phylum Aschelminthes. Sometimes it is also referred as Nemathelminthes. A body of Aschelminthes is circular in cross-section. Hence, these members are referred as roundworms. These members are parasites, mostly endoparasites. That means they live inside the body of host, whereas some members are free-living. They are pseudocoelomates. Tough cuticle is present on their body. Body is non-segmented. Here, sexes are separate. That means these members show sexual dimorphism. Common examples are Ascaris, and filarial worms. Now, both these phyla, that is, Platyhelminthes and Aschelminthes, include worms. But there are some differences. Phylum Aschelminthes comes up with slightly advanced characters. Let us see the difference between these two phyla. Platyhelminthes members are acoelomate, whereas Aschelminthes members are pseudocoelomates. In Platyhelminthes, incomplete digestive system is there, and in Aschelminthes, it is complete. Aschelminthes show sexual dimorphism, whereas Platyhelminthes members are hermaphrodite. Hence, Aschelminthes are considered as developed animals than Platyhelminthes. So children, in today's session, we discussed about criteria of animal classification. The criteria is as given on the board. The first one is grades of organization. Here we discussed 5 different grades of organization starting from protoplasmic level. Then we discussed about cellular level, tissue level, organ level and organ system level of organization. Protoplasmic level is present in lower members, whereas organ system level of organization is present in higher animals. The next criteria is body symmetry. Now based on whether the animal is divisible into two identical halves or not, the animal is known as symmetrical or asymmetrical. If it is divisible into two equal halves, then animal is symmetrical. Now this symmetry is of radial type or it may be of bilateral type. In human beings, it is bilateral type. The third criteria is germ layers. Now depending on germ layers, animals can be classified as diploblastic or triploblastic. If 3 germ layers are present, animals are triploblastic. If 2 are present, then animals are described as diploblastic. And what are the names of 3 germinal layers? Ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Ecto is the outer layer, meso is middle and endoderm is the innermost layer. Then the next criteria is body cavity or you can say coelom. Now based on this criteria, animals can be classified as coelomate or acoelomate or some animals can be categorized as pseudocoelomates. And the last criteria of animal classification is body segmentation. Now based on this criteria, we can say that whether animals are segmented or not. So this is about criteria of animal classification. In this session, we also discussed 3 non-chordate phyla. The first one is phylum Porifera, the phylum of porous bodied members. Then we discussed about Coelenterata phylum that includes members with gastrovascular cavity and cnidoblast cell. The third phylum was phylum Platyhelminthes, the phylum of flat-bodied members, and at the end we discussed about phylum Aschelminthes, that is the phylum of roundworms. Thank you.